Hey, Mike with No Problems Gaming here, and today's video will be doing a review and how to play video on Haunted Halloween, the Trick or Treat game, so let's get into it. Alright, so now that we've got the game out, let's jump in and show you a bit more on how you set up the game and how to play, and then I'll jump into my review after that. So the basic idea behind Haunted Halloween, the Trick or Treat game, is that players will be trying to collect the most candy by the end of the game by visiting houses throughout the neighborhood, all while avoiding ghosts who are trying to steal your candy. And so to start off the game, players will choose between a variety of different trick-or-treaters or costumes. So if you have the base game, you'll have these little standees representing different costumes. Or if you get the deluxe version, you'll have these different miniatures to choose from. So in this game, we'll be highlighting a two-player game, and we've chosen the werewolf costume and the vampire or Dracula costume here. Now with that, players should take a candy corn chip tray, and then they'll actually take the corresponding symbols for their costume type. So again, we've got the werewolf here with the paw prints, and then we've got the bat symbols over here for the Dracula vampire character. You also want to place all the candy off to the side or in this little pumpkin bowl here as well. And you'll want to take these boost tokens, shuffle them up, and then draw two for each character playing. Again, leave them face down, and then you'll want to place them throughout the neighborhood. So in this case, in a two-player game, we can just put basically every other house here. Have some of them out. Those will give you a little extra bonuses that you can use throughout the game. Also take the remaining boost tokens here. You can leave them behind the haunted house. You'll also want to take the glow sticks. You'll take one for the number of players each. Take the black haunted house die here and set that off to the side in front of the haunted house. And then you'll also want to set up the ghost banshee tracker. So the Banshee model, again, this is the deluxe version, so there's a little higher quality pieces here versus the little standees. But in this case, we've got the Banshee on the first spot. We've got the yellow ghost on the first symbol with the bats, with one bat. And then the purple ghost here goes on the symbol with the two bats. Also make sure that you set the green ghost here on the ghost start placement. Make sure you set out the card for no one home or out of candy within close range, as you might encounter that. Make sure you set out the spinner for players. Another option is to find these favorite candy tokens, and you'll actually shuffle these up, and you can draw one for the Banshee's favorite candy and then one each for your player's favorite candy, and you'll actually place one of these by each player. You cannot look at them until the end of the game, and you can set another one here, in this case, off behind the haunted house to represent the Banshee's favorite candy. Now these will be revealed at the end of the game, and you'll get bonus points depending on the number of candy pieces you have of that type. At this point, the game is pretty much set up, and gameplay will just alternate between players. And so how this works is players will simply roll the dice. So we've got the orange die here, and again, you will move spaces according to what's shown. Again, if we go to the other player, we roll a 2. Cool, we do another one. Now this player is at this house. So once you land at a house space, you can spin the spinner and find out what you get. So in this case, the wolf character just got 2 pieces of candy. So you can randomly draw 2 pieces from the candy bowl. And then at that point, you're going to want to mark that your character has visited that house. So again, we'll move on to the next player. We roll another 2. So now they're here. Now let's say you rolled a spin again. In that case, before spinning again, you'll move the Banshee token 1 space up on this cloud tracker. And whenever you hit a ghost with the Banshee, that ghost will now move to the ghost start option, and they can be summoned onto the board. If the Banshee reaches the end space, they will actually come onto the board as well, but they spawn from the haunted house instead of the ghost start placement. Again, you would simply spin again at that point if you landed on spin again. If you land on no one home or out of candy, you don't actually get any candy at that location, and you must place whatever symbol was shown on the house here where you were at. You also would not get to add your little placement marker that you visited that house. Again, we're not doing that in this case, but that's how that aspect works. Another thing, before you start the game, you want to determine how many homes you need to visit in the haunted neighborhood before being able to return home. So let's say you decided on 4 houses, you would need to visit 4 separate houses and leave your little symbol here that you've trick-or-treated there before you can return home and come back to the start. Now, another thing to note is that once players enter the graveyard, it's no longer a safe neighborhood, and so ghosts can come out to attack you. So after rolling your movement die and taking that action, you need to roll a ghost die, and you can move the ghosts around. So once a ghost is in play from either the start of the game with the green ghost or moving on to the other colored ghosts or the banshee, once they're available and have been entered into the game, you can choose to move any one of them. Now when a ghost comes out of the ghost start, they will spawn from their respective color. So in this case, the green would start here. That would be your first movement. So 1, 2, 3. I could move it in that fashion. Now, if a ghost runs into one of your players, you will have to discard candy into the candy coffin. A green ghost is 1 candy, yellow is 2, the purple ghost here is 3, and the banshee you actually lose half of your candy. Now when candy starts to accumulate in the candy coffin, players can actually visit that and have a chance at stealing all of the candy from the candy coffin. So it could be a really big payout. How that works is players would have to be on this space. They can then move here to the coffin, and you have to roll the dice. Now it looks like in the rule book is if you roll a 1 ghost, you do not get the full amount of candy. Instead, you take 1 piece of candy and then would go to the nearest ghost portal space on the board, giving the opportunity for another player to gather that candy. It said in the book that any other dice roll will grant you all of the candy in the coffin, and again, then you would just simply continue on, leaving the candy coffin behind. Another thing to note is that you can only be attacked by the banshee once in terms of losing half of your candy. There's also some other different spots on the board, like the extra roll. Just if you land on that, you can roll the dice again and keep moving. If you land on the move 2 spaces option, you can move 2 spaces. If a ghost lands on the ghost roll option, they can roll the ghost dice again to move another amount of steps. And there's also ghost portals. So if a ghost lands on the ghost portal, they can teleport to any one of the other ghost portals. You can only visit homes that haven't been visited by your character yet, or that do not have a no one home or out of candy space on them. The no one home or out of candy space also will travel around the board. So if it's currently here and you spin a no one home or out of candy, it would move to the new location where players are at. Glow sticks effectively work as a safety ability against ghosts. So if a ghost were to attack you or land on your space when you have a glow stick, you could nullify them stealing candy in that specific instance. They are a one-time use item though, and they're also worth 1 point at the end of the game if you choose not to use them. Again, once players have visited enough houses as you decided upon at the beginning of the game, again, in our example here, we said 4. So once the green character, for example, had visited 4 houses, they could then decide to return to either start point to end the game. Once a player reaches this end start point, every other player has 1 remaining turn after them, and then it would move on to the counting phase, counting your candy. When it comes to the counting phase, each icon that you have on a home is worth 1 point. each piece of candy that you have is worth 1 point. And then as I mentioned, at this time, you would flip up your favorite candy as well as the Banshee's favorite candy. And every combination of 2 of those items you had, you would gain an extra point. So in this case, if I had candy corn and I had 2 pieces of candy corn, this would be worth an additional point at the end of the game. Same thing if you had a glow stick that you hadn't used, it'd be worth a point. And again, you count your individual houses visited as well as points. Another thing to note is that when you visit the haunted house, instead of just simply grabbing candy or spinning the die, you would roll the haunted house die, and each side has a specific thing that would happen. So again, you might teleport to a portal location, you might get scared and run away and actually drop a piece of candy. You could draw candy and get an extra roll, 2 pieces of candy, and other different options as well. Just simply refer to the rulebook for all of those options. You also have the opportunity to grab a boost token when you visit the haunted house. You'll randomly do that, and your character can only hold up to 2 boost tokens for the game. Another thing to note is costume powers. So depending on which character you chose at the beginning of the game, you might have a one-time use power activated by your costume that you can choose from. This is also a breakdown of the boost tokens and what they do. I won't go specifically into each one, but again, you can refer to the rulebook to see how those function as well. There's also a couple variants that the game has available for play. I won't dig into those, but again, you can refer to the rulebook to see how those function. But overall, this is a general idea on how the game works. So with that said, let's jump into my review. Well, now that you have a better idea on how the game works, how do I actually feel about it? Well, I think this is a good family-friendly game, especially if you want one with the Halloween theme. It did have that cool trick-or-treat feel to it, so I think it's very fitting for the theme of the game. It also is pretty simple to learn and pretty quick to play. I like that it gives you the options of determining how many houses you want to visit. So if you want a quicker game, you could do that or add in more houses that you need to visit to extend the game. I like that it has some different variants to the game as well, and that each individual costume has its own unique powers and abilities. I think that really adds to the replay value of the game. I also like the boost tokens, adding some variety. And again, these are randomized, so it could lead to a different outcome each time you play the game, and really adapt your strategy a little bit as you play as well. When it comes to the base game or the deluxe game, I do like the deluxe version. I think the miniatures are really cool and they did a good job on those. So if you want some higher quality components, you can go that route. But again, it doesn't really change the play style of the game or the fun factor. So get whatever version makes sense to you. Overall, if you're looking for a fun, family-friendly, Halloween-themed game, this one could be worth checking out. But let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Have you played any other Halloween-themed games? Does this one look fun? And does it look like one that you'll be picking up? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. And if you like this video, be sure to hit that like button, as it really helps out the channel. And another really cool way you can help support the channel is we actually partnered with a company, Geek Crate, that puts together various bundles. So whether you like things like Harry Potter, Pokemon, Naruto, Marvel, and more, they've got different bundles for everything. They have a subscription service you can take advantage of, or buy just one-time bundle packs of various items. And so if you did want to check that out and help support the channel, head to nerdproblemsgaming.com/Geek Crate, and you'll actually get 15% off your order and help support our channel at the same time. So if you want to take advantage of that cool discount, be sure to head there as well. And if you like videos like this on video games, board games, and everything nerdy, check out one of our other videos here. And if you haven't done so yet, be sure to subscribe and turn on the bell notifications to get the latest updates of new nerd videos we put out. But once again, thanks for tuning in, and we'll talk to you more soon.